And I want to welcome everybody here. Actually, we have 28 items on our agenda. Two bills have been pulled at the request of the author. Item number 22 by Assemblymember Bonta, AB 1062, and item number 25, AB 1173 by Assemblymember Williams. And AB 450 by Assemblymember McCarthy. So we're down to 27. And let's turn to item number 2, SR 37 by President Pro Tem De Leon. Good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, as well as Senator Leno, and to all the fine staff members. Thank you very much. Good morning, first and foremost, and thank you for the opportunity to present Senate Resolution number 37. Mr. Chair, as well as Mr. Leno and members in absentia, Senate Resolution number 37 calls upon the legislature, the governor, as well as our fine president, President Obama, to consider the policy implications of the recently released papal encyclical on the environment and climate change. In his encyclical, The Holy See, Pope Francis rightfully states that there is a solid scientific consensus that shows a very disturbing warming of climate, which, as the Holy See, our Pope says, is a common good belonging to us all. The Pope calls on policymakers worldwide to develop policies to reduce the emission of harmful carbon dioxide, CO2, by finding renewable alternatives to fossil fuels. As the leader of 1.2 billion Catholics worldwide, he is calling on us to act with urgency. Failing to do so would be to abandon our moral obligation. The Pope rightfully states that the poor suffer most from environmental degradation, and that our ecological approach must consider issues of social as well as environmental justice. California has done just that with policies to fight pollution in our poorest communities by increasing access to cleaner energy as well as transportation. Colleagues, we have a moral obligation to do so. I want to thank you very much for this opportunity to present this Senate resolution right before our governor, Governor Jerry Brown, meets with the Pope sometime early next week, perhaps on Monday. I have a witness from the California Catholic Conference. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
And I would draw the attention, there have been some amendments to the Senate resolution for Senator Leno, but please, first witness.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Ray Burnell. I'm with the California Catholic Conference, and we are in strong support of the resolution and deeply grateful to Senator De Leon and to the legislature for considering this resolution. Pope Francis's encyclical is a teaching letter, and it's addressed to every person living on the planet. With this new encyclical, he invites the world into a dialogue about our common home and its ecological future. It affirms that we are presently witnessing a disturbing warming of our global climate with grave implications. It affirms that we are to do something about that. We are being called to action as a society, as a world, and as individuals. Such climate change represents one of the principal challenges facing humanity, with its worst impact being felt by our poorest communities in developing countries around the world for decades to come. The California Catholic Conference supports Senate Resolution 37 because the new encyclical presents a clear and compelling case for placing people at the center of a renewed commitment to be good stewards of the planet entrusted to our care. Such stewardship embraces what's called an integral ecology, something new that the Pope is presenting. In his words, we are faced not with two separate crises, one environmental and the other social, but rather with one complex crisis, which is both social and environmental. Strategies for a solution demand an integrated approach to combating poverty, restoring dignity to the excluded, and at the same time protecting nature. Throughout the encyclical, the Pope awakens urgent moral implications and valuable policy considerations for societies to take a look at and to embrace in caring for our common home, in caring for our most hurting communities and our most vulnerable populations. We thank the legislature for embracing these considerations into your discussions on future matters of public policy, and we urge your aye vote.
Are there any others in support of SR 37? Please come to the mic.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Dan Jacobson with Environment California, and on behalf of retired Senator Tom Hayden and Environment California, we want to thank the senator and strongly support it. Thank you.
Senator Hayden our best. Others in support? Opposition to SR 37? Seeing none, we do not have a quorum. Are there questions of the pro tem on the encyclical or the resolution?
Rabbi.
I was going to say, as a rabbinic dropout,
Not a dropout in my heart.
it was powerful to read of the encyclical and to, if only be an observer to the world's response to the Pope's leadership in this. Also, not to infuse this with any politics, but many of the presidential candidates who may be on the other side of the debate on climate change, I thought made some fascinating observations themselves, such as, he really should just deal with the things that pertain to religion, I think was the message, whether they use that word or not, as if the health and well-being of the planet on which we live is not the domain of faith leaders. And it reminded me that for so many years that I've been in this Capitol, that communities of faith have been some of the strongest and most profound voices in defense of our global environment. And so to have someone of the Pope's stature add this to his list of priorities, making sure that the poorest are fed and clothed, and that justice takes many forms, not only social, but also economic and environmental, that this is a proud moment for everybody, Catholic or Jewish, and everybody in between. So thank you for the resolution, and please pass on my best to the Pope.
Since we do
Thank you,
have
Rabbi.
a quorum, let's call the roll and establish a quorum and consider a motion. Please call the roll.
Senators Wieckowski.
Here.
Wieckowski here. Gaines. Bates. Bates here. Hill. Jackson. Here. Jackson here. Leno.
Here.
Leno here. Pavley.
Okay, great. Mr. Pro Tem, if you'd like to close, the chair will consider a motion.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, as well, Madam Vice Chair. Thank you for the opportunity again to present Senate Resolution Number 37. As you are well aware, Governor Brown, as I stated a few moments ago, will be visiting the Vatican at the Pope's invitation sometime next week to attend a symposium on the threat of global warming. The important work that we do here in this legislative body, but especially here on the red carpet, here in Sacramento, the 8th largest economy in the world, that is the state of California, places us as the global leader in protecting what the Pope calls the irreplaceable and irretrievable beauty of our Earth. This is without a doubt a paradigm shift with regards to the Pope, the Vatican, and his document, which is a teaching document, the encyclical. And I am finding out that many communities that are historically marginalized throughout the state of California are being empowered and enlightened with regards to the Pope's call, which is a very powerful message to those who, again, are most likely going to feel the severe consequences due to global warming. So with that, Mr. Chair, Madam Vice Chair, I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Motion? Okay, there's a motion. Please call the roll.
Item 2, SR 37 by Senate Pro Tem De Leon. The motion is due pass. Senators Wieckowski.
Aye.
Wieckowski, aye. Gaines. Bates. Bates, aye. Hill. Jackson. Jackson, aye. Leno.
Aye.
Leno, aye. Pavley. 4-0.
Okay, we have enough votes to pass it. I could close the roll on this and transmit it to the desk, or we can keep it open for a period of time. Okay, very good.
Right. Thank you.
All righty, bye-bye. Let's move to item number 11. Mr. Rendon is here. This is AB 496 regarding pupil nutrition and fresh drinking water. Good morning, Assemblymember Rendon.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Senators. 25% of schools do not provide free, fresh drinking water at mealtimes. Many schools are plagued with crumbling facilities and a lack of resources to make repairs. Bottled water is an expensive fix for schools in low-income communities and bad for the environment. This bill gives schools a tool to tap into water quality for funding sources so that they can comply with state and federal law. Specifically and simply, this bill requires the California Department of Education to consult with the State Water Board to identify available funding sources that schools can access to improve drinking water quality. This bill states that schools may use this funding for water treatment, water facilities restructuring, water filling stations, and maintenance of water facilities. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Very good. There's a motion. Is there any support for AB 496? Opposition to 496? Seems like a good time to make an announcement that I didn't make. In an interest of giving each bill due attention, and we do have quite a big list, normally I sort of have an open house here on bills and let people testify, and as many testify. I'm going to be imposing here 2 witnesses in support and 2 witnesses in opposition, just so that, and then after that, if I can just get your name and affiliation. But with that, we have a motion. Let's call the roll on number 11.
Item 11, AB 496 by Assemblymember Rendon. The motion is due pass and refer to Committee on Appropriations. Senators Wykowski?
Aye.
Wykowski, aye. Gaines? Bates? Aye. Bates, aye. Hill? Jackson? Aye. Jackson, aye. Leno? Pavley?
It's 3-0. We need one more vote. I'll keep the roll open. Have a wonderful morning.
Thank you, Senators.
It is scary. Oh, we have Senator Bates, item number 1, 423. If you could go there and present. Go there. This is a retail non-prescription pharmaceutical surplus products. Right.
I don't know if my witness is here yet. He's going to deal
That's
with it.
probably okay.
We're going to dispose of this very quickly, I hope, then. Good morning, Mr. Chair and members. Senate Bill 423 creates a streamlined option for the managing of over-the-counter pharmaceuticals and dietary supplements that would otherwise, under the existing Medical Waste Management Act, add to the landfill waste stream as it is currently being incinerated. I'd like to start by thanking the committee staff for working with me the past few months on helping draft this legislation that is here today, and look forward to continuing those efforts as the bill moves forward. It is a work in progress, very complex. The consumer products referenced in SB 423 are sold at thousands of retail locations throughout California and include sunscreens, medicated shampoos, some deodorants, and the like. When these products leave the retailer shelves, they go to a variety of end destinations, most of which ultimately, we hope, minimize the product waste in the environment. Existing statute under the Medical Waste Management Act is currently unworkable and confusing for retailers, thus limiting the ability for the option of reverse distribution of these non-prescription over-the-counter products. Essentially, reverse distribution is the collection of damaged, outdated, or unsold goods, and then these products are either liquidated, returned to the vendor. If there is a recall, they are sent back to the supplier or manufacturer. They are donated to local charities, recycled, reused, reclaimed, or if needed, destroyed by incineration. And that's the area that has been complex. As noted earlier, the challenge in determining how any surplus of these types of products should be handled suggests the need for SB 423 in order to establish criteria to properly handle and manage the products. The bill would not only clarify current law to make it easier to reverse distribute in California, it would also ensure that retailers do not overmanage useful products as waste by instead encouraging liquidation and donation, which therefore will achieve waste reduction. Though we still have work to do on the issue, I appreciate where we are today. I wholeheartedly commit to working with all stakeholders and include this committee certainly moving forward. And I have with me Angie Minetti, representing the California Retailers Association, sponsor of the bill, to testify in support and certainly answer any of the technical questions that you may have.
Well, you're
this.
lucky because as the staff report points out, Senator Jackson and I have dealt into this arena before, some perhaps more ambitiously, but have dealt into the arena to look for something that's enforceable and protective. So please, your first witness.
Thank you so much. Angie Minetti here with the California Retailers Association. We are the sponsor of the bill and are supporting if amended. We first and foremost would like to thank the committee staff. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank the author as well for working with all stakeholders on this very complex issue. We've been struggling with the interpretation of the California Medical Waste Management Act, which unfortunately has an unintended consequence where retailers now are treating our over-the-counter products in a very conservative manner, where these products that could very well be reused, donated, or liquidated are treated as medical waste, sent out by a medical waste hauler, and then incinerated. And this is happening in large quantities, and so SB 423 seeks to remedy that. The bill in print right now is a work in progress, and we really are thankful for the committee's work on getting us to a place where we can start to develop upon this type of framework for managing our over-the-counter products. We appreciate the committee's commitment to work with us throughout the legislative process. And today I have Greg Blunt with Troutman and Sanders, who is the environmental counsel for CVS Health, here to and available for any technical questions that the committee may have.
All right, we'll hold you. Others in support of SB 423?
Peter Kellison on behalf of Walgreens. It's a dense body of law. We appreciate the work your staff and your office has put into this, as well as the other stakeholders. Understand that some final tweaks that need to be made to it, perhaps, but we're in support of the bill as it moves forward.
Members of the committee, Kevin Pedrati representing CVS Health. We thank the work of your committee consultant, all the time she spent, and the author, and we are supportive of the bill moving forward. Thank you.
Trent Smith on behalf of Rite Aid Pharmacies in support.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, Jason Schmelzer on behalf of the California Product Stewardship Council in support of the bill. As you indicated, we've done some work with Senator Jackson and others on end-of-life management of pharmaceuticals, both over-the-counter and prescription. Certainly happy to see the source reduction that's allowed through the flexibility for the manufacturers and the retailers. Hopefully they'll come to the table maybe next year or in future years to deal with the other end, relieving local government of the burden of the end-of-life management of these products.
Wonderful invitation.
Mr. Chair, Josh Milan for the local environmental health directors and the Coopers. Echo what you've just heard. It's a good start, but we've got to adopt EPR to do this properly. Thank you.
Genevieve Abaddon on behalf of Californians Against Waste in support.
Opposition to SB 423. That just is. All right, let's bring it back to you and I, Senator. You have a question.
It looks like that, yes. I appreciate the acknowledgement by the chair of the work that has been done to assist the consumer in this process. I want to note that I spent 2 years, as was mentioned, 2 hard years, authoring legislation that would have helped an extended producer responsibility program to help manage pharmaceutical waste. And I do appreciate the acknowledgement that this is a problem for both prescription and over-the-counter products that that would have given relief to retailers, manufacturers, and most importantly to the consumers who buy the products. This measure, of course, only addresses the over-the-counter products, and that's a good start, and appreciate you doing this. But it only benefits retailers. And as was mentioned, California really needs a comprehensive solution to the problem of the negative environmental and public health impacts that these products have, a policy that doesn't leave consumers out in the cold. You know, these are wonderful products, don't get me wrong, but they've made our lives immeasurably better. but they don't exist without costs. And I am heartened by this first step, and will be supporting the legislation today. But as was noted, I'm tenacious, if nothing else, and I will be bringing back my legislation next year, and I hope that the sponsors of this measure will work productively and collaboratively with me to make sure that the relief they are going to receive under this measure, should it pass, can be extended to consumers and to local governments and even law enforcement agencies, which were also in strong support of our efforts. And they are currently operating a lot of these take-back programs and accepting responsibility for products that manufacturers are refusing to acknowledge really belong with them. So I appreciate this effort. It's a great start. In the future, though, I expect that those who came here in support of this measure will also help out the consumers who are shopping at your establishments and buying your products, and that we can work together. I think this, again, is a great start. I'd like to know, too, that I am at the direction of my daughter, who says that whenever that day comes, she doesn't plan to be cleaning out my closets, so that I should start doing that now. And tried last week and discovered there are an enormous amount of products that have long passed their life expectancy. And here I am. I've been working on this measure for a while. I didn't know what to do with some of these things. And wouldn't it be great if they could go back to the place where they were purchased, assuming they're still in business? I admit some of them have rather ancient end-of-life dates on them. But this is really an issue. And I was again reminded that we have to do better with how we dispose of these products. So I thank you for bringing the bill. I'll move the bill and look forward to working with the rest of you next year.
Lovely invitation you just gave to people here. Let's, would you have anything else you would like to add?
I just respectfully ask for an aye vote, and I want to add another thank you to staff. This has been very complex, and I realize the time and effort that our staff put in to these measures. So I think it's a reward anyway to get it passed, and hopefully, as it goes forward, the next iteration is going to be closer to solving the problem that Senator Jackson spoke to very eloquently of, the same problem, even here at my home and now in Sacramento. So it's long overdue to find a solution. Ask for an aye vote.
Please call the roll.
Item 1, SB 423 by Senator Bates. The motion is due pass and referred to Committee on Appropriations. Senators Wieckowski.
Aye.
Wieckowski, aye. Gaines. Bates.
Aye.
Bates, aye. Hill. Jackson. Aye. Jackson, aye. Leno. Pavley. 3-0.
Okay, we'll put that matter on call. We have 3 votes. Assemblymember Perea, you have a couple of items before the committee today. Good morning. How are you? Let's focus on the first item, item number 4, AB 156.
Thank you. Let me, before I get into all these measures, let me just begin sort of generally thank Mr. Chair, thank you, committee, for working with us on each one of these measures. I know each one presented a different set of challenges, and I'm hopeful we resolved all those challenges today, but I really do appreciate the amount of work and the amount of effort that you put into these 4 measures. So let me begin, Mr. Chair, with AB 156. Let me start by saying that I will be taking the suggested amendments. AB 156 would ensure that disadvantaged communities have the ability to apply competitively for greenhouse gas reduction fund money by establishing a technical assistance program at the ARB. What we are looking to do is replicate what is happening over with the State Water Resources Board and how they get state funding to disadvantaged communities. One of the things I've learned as I've spoken to different groups in my district is that most communities are so small that they don't have the technical capacity to apply for the funding that's available. And this was a conversation I had with many groups last summer in my district, which really became the inspiration for AB 156. And so what we're looking to do is to provide a mechanism by which nonprofit groups and others in the district can be that bridge to help these small communities apply for funding through the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund. And we think that AB 156 is a step in the right direction to provide equity in funding, and so we respectfully ask for your aye vote.
You know, this committee's in the process of having field hearings on climate adaptation, and we'll be going out to the Central Valley. And when we
Great.
were in the Bay Area, we found that it wasn't just the disadvantaged communities that have a need for assistance. Localities and regional folks need technical assistance to do their resiliency plans. I mean, they have
Right.
plans, but how do they coordinate that and,
Right.
and work with the state and the different programs that were there? So your first witness, please go ahead.
I'm Tom Knox of Valley Clean Air Now. We work in the San Joaquin Valley, and we see firsthand the lack of bandwidth in the most impacted communities. AB 156 is an important step to ensure equity and access to the tools needed to access GGRF funds, and is a big step toward a level playing field for all communities statewide.
Phoebe Seaton, Leadership Council for Justice and Accountability, based in the San Joaquin Valley and the Coachella Valley. We've been working with a lot of communities and cities accessing the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund and see the need for technical assistance. We also have a lot of experience working in the water and wastewater context with third-party providers, and see that that is a very successful model for especially accessing funds and support for the smaller communities in more rural areas.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. Andrew Antwi here today on behalf of the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District. We very much support this measure. Anytime we can facilitate accessing these funds in a way that brings dollars to these communities that are heavily impacted and generates co-benefits, we definitely want to do that. These communities deserve it.
Bill McGavin with the Coalition for Clean Air and Support, and we thank Assemblymember Perea for bringing this issue.
Others in support of AB 156, please come forward.
Hi, my name is Monica Palmera with California Coalition for Rural Housing. We provide technical assistance to small rural communities in the San Joaquin Valley as well as tribal entities in Mendocino and Lake counties. And we see an incredible need for technical assistance for these areas to really know about the program, so we are in support. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. I'm Bonnie Holmes, Jan American Lung Association in California, in support.
Good morning, Alex Jackson with NRDC in support of the bill. Thank the author for his steadfast support for this measure.
Kelly Day on behalf of California League Conservation Voters in support.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members. Quentin Foster with the California Environmental Justice Alliance. For all the reasons stated by the Assemblymember and fellow witnesses, we support the bill. Thank you.
Cesar Campos, Central California Environmental Justice Network. We will work with disadvantaged communities all across the San Joaquin Valley in strong support.
Debbie Wars with Community Water Center in support.
Ryan Augusta on behalf of the California Rural Legal Assistance Foundation in support.
Good morning, Carrie Timmer from the Sierra Business Council in support, and also want to thank the author for expanding the eligibility to those with the 80% median income. Thank you.
Good morning. Eddie Moreno on behalf of Sierra Club California in support.
Good morning. Rico Mastrodonato with the Trust for Public Land in support.
And this wasn't even your bill with 5 pages of support. Others in support of 156, AB 156, opposition to AB 156. All right, let's close it off, bring it to the committee. Questions of the author?
Just a quick question. As I understand it, there were amendments, so those amendments, they were technical, but you've accepted them as author's amendments? Yeah. Okay, well, I only have one small question. Obviously, this is a good bill, but could this, by virtue of the way this is structured, could this lead places like the ARB or organizations like ARB or Cal EPA to be able to not only tell groups which grants they qualify for, but help them write the proposals so they are successful, and then award them the funding? In other words, are we protecting ourselves so that there's a process in place that's really going to identify what the best projects are, rather than have it sort of be a one-stop shop without? Sometimes we need that oversight. You know, we all get a little sometimes overly enthusiastic in our own bills and think they're fabulous, and sometimes we need input from committees to tell us maybe they're not so great. Are we kind of creating a one-stop shop here?
Well, the purpose of the bill is to create to provide grants to third-party providers. So it wouldn't be CARB or EPA actually providing the technical assistance on writing the grant. It would be a third-party provider, so you would have that independence.
Okay, great. Appreciate that. With that, I'll move the bill.
There's a motion. Would you like to close, Assemblymember?
Just respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Chair will be supporting,
I just wanted to make a
Senator
comment.
Bates, I'm sorry.
I do think it needs to be narrowed in terms of what an eligible organization is, and I think I've expressed my concern that we've granted ARB and those agencies rather huge latitude in defining some of these pieces of legislation, these directives, which I frankly feel are very important, but I think there's a wide area for error in determining what is a nonprofit that's really involved in grant writing for this specific program and the specific use of greenhouse gas funds and cap and trade. So I'm not going to support this today, but I'd like you to consider having something in there that narrows eligible organization to some specifically defined group who's already involved in the issues regarding air quality and greenhouse gas emissions, because there's lots of nonprofits, and having served at the county level, I assure you that we have a myriad of those who step up for a number of the grants, and some of them, I mean, it's a stretch. So I think that would help me, certainly, and those who certainly are concerned about this get closer on a bill like this.
Okay, thank you.
Well, there are 17 of these bills that are asking for funding with the greenhouse gas fund. So appropriations should have a fun time as all the bills arrive with them. But thank you for your presentation. Please call the roll. This is due pass to appropes.
Item 4, AB 156 by Assemblymember Perea. The motion is due pass as amended and refer to Committee on Appropriations. Senators Wykowski?
Aye.
Wykowski, aye. Gaines? Bates?
No.
Bates, no. Hill? Jackson?
Aye.
Jackson, aye. Leno?
Aye.
Leno, aye. Pavley? 3-1.
Okay, 3-1. We'll keep that bill on call as other members are